This is Christoph Yalik.
This is Just Janet.
And this is K. Colley.
And this is
the Just Nuggets Podcast.
All right, welcome everybody to episode 2 of the Just Nuggets Podcast. It's Kyle, K. Colley here. How's everyone doing today?
Good. How are you, K-Dot?
Doing well.
This is Just Janet.
Just Janet checking in.
In the house, yeah.
Christoph Yalik here as well. You've heard that music. You know what time it is. It's time for episode 2 of the Just Nuggets Podcast. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling well. I'm excited to talk some Nuggets. We actually have some games under our belt. I remember episode 1 we were talking like fans. Now we get to see some of the product on the court. So what do y'all think so far?
I mean, I think we still are talking like fans.
I'm just saying. I think the first one was champion bust, this, that, and third. But now you're seeing the team move a little bit. Things are changing. So let's start this first segment. This week's Nuggets. What are we thinking? Last night's game. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I think before we get into last night's game, just kind of looking at the Nuggets season as a whole so far right now. I mean, I want to temper the expectation. I know episode 1, we're out here talking about 60 wins and all this stuff. I still think there'll be a 50-plus win team. Mm-hmm. It's just going to take more work than I thought leading in. But guess what? Like I said, I'm a degenerate and a little bit,
No, I get you.
High cost.
I think we should.
Last night.
I think when we're talking about last night, I think you can go into this a little bit too, just Janet, as about the paint points. Even though we won a game, the paint points are insane.
Yeah, I guess I guess to answer the general question is I think we're doing pretty well. I mean, we got a winning a score most of the times, but we are letting the other team win. Score too much.
Yeah.
They have our defenses need some work. Mm-hmm. I think I had a stat like around a couple of days ago where we usually give away about 117 points in the game. We had one game that was under 100 in the 8 that we played, but we got to work on that. And then our in the paint scoring by the other team and not the defending in there has to be fixed. It just has to be. And so that means we are working on defense, and our offense is coming around. Yeah. But our defense needs to get some work.
Yeah, I'll say, which is kind of interesting when you think about the guys that we brought in this year. We brought in KCP. Yeah. We brought in we already had AG, and we already had Bruce Brown. Those are 3 wing defenders that we thought would help not have so much driving in the paint. I don't know if they were tired last night. Weren't necessarily ready to play, but Shea Alexander was getting buckets.
As 37.
Yeah, he was getting it. SGA was getting buckets. Dort was getting buckets. Yeah. Giddey was getting buckets, and it was it felt like to me that although we had that great start, sometimes in basketball games it's a game of runs, so I think it allowed them to come in a little bit. But those paint points, and I don't know if that was because we didn't have DeAndre Jordan or what do you think there too?
I don't know.
It wasn't that they didn't have him; he just didn't play.
He didn't play.
Okay,
he didn't suit up.
Decision.
He wasn't playing. We didn't let Najee play. Remember, and he got hurt his ankle early in the first, and that. Yeah. But everybody has to do it. I mean, we just can't rely on the center.
I was a little bit surprised because I was watching League Pass, and I watched how difficult it was for the Thunder to get a dub against Orlando the night prior or a couple nights prior, and I was like, oh, the Nuggets are gonna mop the floor with them because they've been off since Sunday, and I think it just was a rough game. It was a little sluggish. It was difficult to grind out that win, but if you're going to win 50 some odd games, you got to grind out a lot of these games. Yeah. And I think the Nuggets they pulled away in the fourth quarter. They hit more shots.
Sure.
They hit big shots. That Michael Porter 3 really, I thought, sprung that lead, and pushed it to 4.
And that's what I was going to ask too. Yeah. We were talking about some of the red flags of last night, the interior defense, but Jamal had to be a highlight. We got to see, and they were talking about on the commentary a little bit too, but I think there's some bubble Jamal right there. You saw a little frustration.
He was either bubble Jamal or mad Jamal.
He was mad Jamal too.
I think that not hitting that shot at the end of the third that didn't count just set him off, and he just it all came back. And then you know what? It just I think he was just free and playing and not thinking about that knee.
Yeah, he
and
took some falls.
He took some falls and got right back up.
Michael Porter took some falls.
It was good to see. It was great to see.
And then if we're just going as a full look at the league, games that we played thus far.
Yeah.
Michael Porter has been an absolute beast on a tear. He's been playing great basketball, scoring at a high clip. Like I would say, I don't know. I have to look at everybody else in his position, but he's looking like an early. If I don't necessarily want him to play all those minutes, but he's looking like an all-star from all accounts.
He is, and AG. Oh my God, he came ready to go from game one. I think game one he saved us as much as we could. We lost that game, but he's been a beast the whole time.
I think
it's just better.
I think the one thing I've noticed in the first 7 games so far that the Nuggets have to do is find consistency from their bench. 8 games. And why I say that is because when you look at probably my personal favorite game they've played so far this year was the second game, the home game versus Utah. I believe the bench had 60 points. Bones had 26, I believe 26 points, which was hilarious because it was just shooting just out of the gym, shooting from Steph Curry range, and then Michael Porter Jr. is like, I can shoot too, he had to join the party. He was like, hey, I can shoot threes too.
I think I heard the coach talk about this last night. Defense is contagious. When somebody does it, and then it just gets everybody going. Just like Jamal's attitude last night got everybody going. You can't just let one person. It used to be, same way with Joker. When Joker goes off, everybody's like that way as well.
And I think that's a perfect segue because I want to give a round of applause, if you will. We're not going to clap.
Okay.
But for Mr. Nikola Jokic becoming the all-time leading center, with triple doubles. Yep. So that's when anytime you pass Wilt Chamberlain on a list,
or it get mentioned in the same breath.
Yeah, but not only do you pass him, like you become the one. You are the one.
Yeah.
And you're 27 years old.
Yeah.
And you have at least another, 4 or 5 years of doing just this.
Yeah.
I think he'll get to 100 here pretty soon. I think he's gonna get way past. But I said in the next
you can make an argument
4 years he'll get to 100.
No, I think you can make an argument at the pace that he's been going at that he's gonna hit 100 in like either the end of this year or next year. That's how close. That's how he's actually been going.
Yes,
it's not even a question about. And
when
4
you
years.
think about how many he's had over the last few years. He would have he's pushing 200. I'm kidding.
I call those Soundboard triple doubles.
That Nuggets Nation calls them that. Nuggets Nation calls them
the one-off champion, the one-offs. But the other thing that we need to do is talk, as we continue talking about benches, like Bones, because Bones not being here the last 2 games, you see that bench it doesn't run as well. It doesn't run as well. You don't see the oops. You don't see the jumps. You see a lot of and you got to mix and match. Like I seen Christian Braun playing really well. Christian Braun playing really well.
CB's been delight.
But I think without Bones, and I know you're gonna might push back on this, but without Bones, I do think it's gonna be hard for us to win championships. I win the championship this year because Bones plays such a factor off that bench.
He does.
That bench without him is discombobulated.
He does. My concern is we talk about the championship. We need everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying
it's a group effort. I thought Brown played excellent last night. Bruce Brown. He's been everything and more. I think he started some games so far this season. He's just in a good spot. Last night he had 15 points. His plus minus of +8. 3-6 from 3-point. If you get production like that from your bench or someone who's coming off your bench, someone who was a big signing for you this offseason, someone who adds a new layer that the Nuggets don't have or haven't had in the past couple of years, that's amazing. And we joke about it off air about there's really no one on the Nuggets team this year that I'm like don't dislike,
which is rare,
which is very rare. Seeing as Barton's been on the team the last couple of years, there's been and the other players, of course, there too. But this year, it's like a breath of fresh air. It seems like a cohesive unit that needs to now we can just say, hey, bench, we need to find a number. If that's 25, 30 points, 35 points a night, if you guys can get to that number, the Nuggets will win 9 out of 10 games. If you guys do that, they'll win 9 out of 10 games.
As long as you stay around, I think as long as you stay around 70% every 10 games, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. I think if you get consistency out the bench, that can push up towards 80.
I would also push back on one thing. I do think and this is just the Nuggets fan in me from history, but I would love to move Davon out and bring in Carmelo Anthony. I know that's asking a lot, but I think Carmelo on this team, from a bench perspective, in a scoring option that would give that bench just because when you look at the bench, you got Bruce Brown, he can hoop.
Yeah,
Bones can hoop.
Yeah.
Christian Brown, he's a rookie, he's playing good defense.
Yes.
DeAndre, he's gonna play defense, but he's not really adding anything from the scoring option. And then you put in Davon at the last one. I think you put in Carmelo, and you don't lose that much. But you moving Carmelo for Davon would actually make a huge improvement to this team. But again, that's just my Nuggets look into it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's the best move.
Full circle.
I think
full circle Nuggets.
I think that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
I would love for that to happen. I just don't think it would happen. But of all the years to have brought him back, this would be the best year to do it. And I think that he would mesh well with the Jeff Greens and the DeAndre Jordans
Jeff Green's on that bench too.
Where it's like the veteran depth. You know what I mean? And all of them none of the veterans, I don't believe, looking at the roster right now, none of them have a championship. I guess Caldwell Pope does.
Yeah, KCP.
KCP.
He does.
But no one has a championship like that, outside of KCP. Right. Mm-hmm. So it does have that vet, we want to get a ring type energy. And last time I checked, Melo don't have one either. No, so that he falls in line there, and I'm with you, Kyle. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I am a Nuggets through and through. Melo's my guy. I would love to see that. I just can't get my hopes up for it because I love it too much.
And I think the other part when it comes to winning championships, you also have Mike Malone who wants to win. Mm-hmm. You got Josh Kroenke. The Kroenkes have now won with the Avs. They've won with the Rams.
Yeah.
The Nuggets. You see the Nuggets with a two-time. Well. Yeah, you have a two-time MVP on your team now.
Yeah.
And they're fishing for this one.
And his role would be so minimum.
Yeah, he
wouldn't even necessarily need him. Like Davon Reed played 8 minutes last night, and a lot of those was after in that fourth quarter when he got the lead, whatever, and it was just kind of coaxing out to triple zeros. However, he did get 4 shots. Mm-hmm. I'd much rather have Melo play 8 to 14 minutes and he gets 8 shots. I don't know. Yeah. Once more. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not Calvin Booth, but I would say that those would be because the bench is. I'm saying as much as we have praised the bench, there's also a lot of that is the thing. That's the NBA across the line, and we can maybe go into not Nuggets section 2 here in a second because we can talk about all NBA teams with their benches having struggles. But I think the Nuggets, if you can add just another scorer on that bench that's going to put some points in the paint. I mean, in the bucket. I think that'd be huge.
And we can't wait. And this is our backup, last fail proof time. Doing an All-Star game and the closing out on those those last minute trades, whatever. But we can't wait that long. Mm-hmm. We need to be at least staying within the top 4 spots that if we're not there, we just haven't been successful.
Before we move on to non-Nuggets,
yes,
I want to go around and say each of us pick who's been your favorite or most valuable Nugget thus far for the first 7 games, or surprise, whatever it is.
I said it last on episode 1. I'm gonna say it again. AG. I just think that somewhere this summer, this man has been thinking about this and knowing his talent level, and he has some ways to go. But I think he's been doing what he needs to do, and he's gonna get better and better. And just be aggressive. Pick your spots like you have been and get her done because we need every point all the time from you, AG.
I'm going to pat myself on the back to your answer. Maybe it's because I met AG this summer. Oh, okay. So maybe some of my greatness rubbed off on him.
It's all about you.
Huh? Yeah, it always comes back somehow, some way. So I'll take the lead here. I think I'll take the easy one on the board. CB, Christian Brown. Yeah. He's been a revelation of it. I thought he's gonna be good. Yeah. I thought he's gonna get minutes, but you know how Mike Malone is with rookies. He kind of works you in. He's getting minutes game 2 that, Bo took 2 years to get. You know what I mean? And probably actually never really even got as a Nugget.
But I think when you get coach looking at you is when you play defense.
That's what I was gonna say. Yes, 100 steps.
He preaches
he
it.
Is.
He
is that. He is a Malone guy through and through.
Is, absolutely.
Where he had the game versus
Craig.
against Craig,
Davon.
Talking
about Utah.
Yeah, I was gonna say against Utah when he had 10 points and he had that that spin.
Yeah.
The spin to the layup and great takes. Yeah, he's gritty. He gives us that element that they haven't had for a while now. And I really do enjoy what he brings to the team. I want to see him get more minutes, and I want to see him continue to evolve as a player.
Mm-hmm. I said AG.
So AG,
CB.
So if you would have asked me this maybe a week ago, I would have said no doubt Michael Porter Jr. Because the way he's been playing and carrying the team and actually evolving not just as a 3-point shooter, but he's getting to the paint, rebounding. His game is getting close. His game is well rounded. Right. But I think now with Bones missing the last 2 games, I think his impact was shown that him not being on this team makes it looks like the team starts to move weird. Like the bench doesn't perform as well, and there's some leaky ship.
And I love Monte.
Yeah,
I love Monte when he was here, and I hate to see him go. And we needed somebody who could actually get that team going and that bench going down there. And Bones seems to be able to get it going because we certainly missed you, Bones, the last 2 games.
Yeah. So let's make a shift. We talked about the Nuggets. We've talked that through. What about the rest of the NBA? Let's go into the not Nuggets. What are some surprises you're seeing in the first bunch of NBA games? We can start. Maybe you want to start LA. Do you want to start Warriors? What are you seeing in those teams?
I'm gonna be quick with mine.
Okay.
Because in episode 1, for those who remember when I said it, I said Cleveland.
You did.
I said Cleveland's gonna be a team that can look, pretty good moving forward. And I stopped myself because I had to see it. I've now seen it. I stand by what I said, and actually, I like it because Donovan Mitchell. Breaking news here. He can play basketball. It doesn't matter if he's in the East. Doesn't matter if he's Utah. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. He hooped. And that performance him and LeVert put on at the Garden, where they both hung 41. My Lord, was that great.
And, he's hungry. He's
hungry.
He hasn't won. He wants to win.
Yeah.
And all that.
And it helps when you play in the East. You get to play, you get to play. You don't have to go at Golden State or at, the Lakers or at the Clippers, at Nuggets. You kind of, those games against Indiana and the Knicks and all these other ones, Orlando, like those will keep you in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's my quick little pat on the back / they're doing excellent.
I would say the last point on Cleveland is that, and Donovan Mitchell is that there's something to be said when you change a team and you've had that conflict with your other superstar, and you get to go to a place where you get to be. I'm not saying he's the man because that's obviously Garland's team, but you get a chance to be 1A again. But you get to come into, you get to be you, and you get to bring your own game.
It's a new type of
and that team is just. It was already a good team last year. You had a 20.5 point scorer. It's just it's a great basketball team. I would also want to look at the Lakers since they did get us, and I was surprised. I didn't think we were going to lose that game.
I didn't either.
But I knew the Lakers were hungry. That was the reason why I was like, you know what, the Lakers might get us tonight because of that.
That was their first win.
It's still LeBron and it's still AD. And those dudes,
and it's still playing on the road.
Y'all are forcing me to have to say what I say all the time.
Say it.
Go for it,
AD gets more calls, non-calls, or calls and not than anyone else. He just killed us that game, just putting his body on and not getting called and just I think that Joker does not get his share of
even after 2 MVPs.
Even after 2 MVPs and even all of it. But AD gets them every time, or he doesn't get called all the time. And then when you put him and LeBron and they don't
they start talking to those refs.
Oh my God.
They're gonna get those calls.
And they haven't won a game. Yeah. It was destined to lose that game.
You know who agrees with you about Jokic not getting called?
Jokic.
Yeah.
Because I used to hate growing up Tim Duncan and Manu and how they'd crowd around the ref with the hands out like, oh my, whining. Yeah. And now Jokic does that. Like, he's one of the top guys in the NBA doing that.
Him, go in and
then maybe I do like a Spurs fan when I was growing up, how they felt. It's like, yeah, he didn't get the call, So maybe I've lived long enough to see myself become the villain on that one.
All right, can we talk about the team that knocked us out of the playoffs with the Warriors?
Go for it.
They can't win on the road.
I can't say it was pushed back.
They have not won on the road.
They have 4 championships. They've won on the road.
No, I'm not hating on the Warriors, but it is surprising. And I don't want to bring up the early stuff. I think this is real basketball.
I think Kerr said it. Kerr said they're in a slight hangover.
Yeah,
he said there's.
I think it's a hangover. I think it's a championship.
I think it's more than. I think they've kind of gotten over the punch.
That's what I was saying. I think it's a championship
and the infighting. I think it's more of it's not clicking right now. They do have new faces. They have former Nugget, J Mike over there.
It's the bench.
And their bench isn't playing well. Their starters are getting productive. They're getting. Last night, you saw what happened on that last possession. Yeah. Orlando was like, okay, one thing we're going to do is just double the mess out of Stephen Curry. Yeah. Soon as he gets the ball, that double team came in, and they kicked it over to Clay. Clay got that little one-off run thing, which was difficult. It was a difficult shot. Could have made it. We're having a different conversation if he does. Or we're not, because they'd still be 4-5.
Yeah.
But it's just, they're just a little... Yeah, it will get going because I have nothing but faith.
We shall see. I mean, they can't lose in the mighty West. You can't lose a lot of games.
I'm with you.
When we were on when I say we the Nuggets, when we lost the game. We lost the first one to Utah, then we won 2, then we lost again to Portland. Yeah. Right there, your stomach was like, wait a minute. This could go south here pretty quickly. But then they mustered their strength, they got it done, and started winning again.
And I'll say this about the Golden State because it kind of relates to the Nuggets. When you in the regular season, an athletic team, you can get beat by an athletic team who's really ready to run and hoop on any given night.
Right.
But when the playoffs start to come and you get a chance to see a team, the game slows down. That's where the game is really played. Like the Nuggets,
where do you think this pressure?
And especially Golden State. Golden State's built on like seeing what you're doing wrong, changing up the formation, killing you in the thirds. And when you're jumping from team to team, Golden State's just finding that rhythm.
Yeah.
But I guess the other thing since we're just talking teams, we won't go into it deep. But Steve Nash gets fired.
Yep.
Kyrie gets suspended.
Yes.
And now they're bringing in potentially Udoka.
Mm-hmm.
So that
the coach
formerly from Boston,
who took the Boston Celtics in his first year to the finals last year.
And so that's happening. And not to mention Brooklyn is also, let me get this right, I believe they're 2-5. So
not great.
So you got a
which
team
is 2-6.
2-6. They're 2-6, right? So you have,
and the only teams below them in the East are the Detroit Pistons. And the Orlando
And
Magic.
if we're going to talk about any teams, if we're going to just go there, I do, what's the name? Cade's playing really good basketball. And since we are, Nuggets fans, Bobo is showing some signs. He's showing some signs of
minutes.
being a basketball
I think
player.
it is. I think with Bobo, I like League Pass, and I somehow always stumble on watching the Orlando Magic because I kind of like them. They have a lot of former Nuggets, so I always kind of check in on them. But they get minutes, and I think that's something that they weren't never going to do here. They just were never going to crack the rotation like that here in Denver. Yeah. And Bobo's playing, surprisingly well. I would say he still has a ton of work to develop.
Sure.
As does that whole team. Like last night, Paulo Banchero talking about the Warriors. He did his best to almost lose that game.
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie, and that's what comes with the growing pains. And what also happens is being in those moments.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's not Nuggets, but the Nuggets will have times like that where you'll need someone not named Jamal, Michael, or Nicola
Bones.
to take that shot. And we're going to look at Bones. We're going to look at others to make that big shot, KCP or others.
I'd say
Bruce Brown, exactly.
Yeah,
so that time's going to come, maybe even your guy AG. Yeah. But that time's got to come when you have to do that. And last night was, probably the first one that Banchero had against the defending champs at home. And he threw it away. Threw it away. But Jalen Suggs looked excellent. And Kyle, eat crow on that one.
Well, this is final. This is the final not nugget that I'm going to have to throw out there. Giannis and Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh. Yeah.
They have not lost a game.
No.
So,
is this a newsflash? They're pretty good.
Well, what I'm doing is saying that we need to talk about the ones that are not nuggets and who we're looking up at. Come the end of the season, Milwaukee's going to be there.
Yeah, and I would say that's a credit to Giannis. Thinking he played all summer in Greece.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
He's playing now.
Right.
Still finding ways to win in the NBA. I mean, obviously, I would say arguably he's the best player in the world. And that's coming from fans that's seen the 2-time MVP back-to-back as well.
He was a back-to-back MVP
that's what I said. We both seen it. I said now coming from a team that we've also seen a back-to-back.
We're splitting hairs if you're going to say Giannis.
But yeah, Giannis is who he is, bro. We know. We know what it is.
I think that he's established himself because we talked about the turmoil going on in Brooklyn and also the turmoil going on in LA and the turmoil going on in Golden State. And you would argue that those are his 3 main contemporaries. Maybe Luka.
Yeah. And they're
playing
as well.
Did you say the turmoil going?
4-3.
Did you say the turmoil going on in Philly too?
Yeah, in Philly with Embiid.
James Harden getting hurt.
Yeah, I'll touch on it in a second. Okay. But Giannis, has just proven that he's the guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's the guy on this planet. You saw it in the Euro basketball. Over the summer or early summer, I guess late summer, shall I say, with Greece. He's just excellent. He's phenomenal. He's tough. He gets calls. He has the stop and pop now. His teammates are playing well, and anytime you have that 3-headed monster going, sky's the limit. They look really good.
So basically, they're gonna be they're gonna beat 73-9, and we shouldn't worry about it.
No, I won't say all that.
I'm just joking.
I would say that they're gonna be in the thick of it. I don't know. I don't know how many wins that looks like, but they do play in the East, as we've said. That's helped. That's gonna be beneficial to record.
They're 7-0, and Boston's 4-3.
Yeah.
So.
And they've beat Boston there too. So on the road, I believe. So, yeah, and we'll go back to the West, the back at the see who's sitting perched upon their throne is the Phoenix Suns. So,
yeah, they are.
And they kind of just, they're well coached. They're a well-oiled machine at this point. And I think they're just a good team. And when you look at around the league, we talked about last episode, so many people doing the race to get Victor.
Yeah,
a lot of tanking teams, and maybe that will kind of, whatever. I'm not going to go into that. But when you do look around, there's so many good teams right now.
Oh.
And maybe we're just because we're in early November, and this will filter out by the time we get to the All-Star game and post-All-Star game. But we watched Portland smack us around when they had the ability to get inferno hot.
Smack is questionable. We're up in that game.
They were, but then
can we be fair?
Anthony just goes nuts.
Obviously, their coach.
Yeah.
They're well coached. He's a Denver guy. You have the dude who I seen drop 55 on us in the playoffs, Mr. Dame Lillard, who can just go off. Utah looks good. Memphis is obviously good. San Antonio, I think, will regress over time. Nuggets are there. New Orleans is there. Dallas is going to get better. Then once Minnesota figures out their configuration on the floor, I think they'll be better. But I think the thing about Minnesota, there can be some little bit of Nugget hate in here, so take this with a grain of salt. I don't think they're deep enough. Like, once you get past their big 3, and then you got the Josh, I forget his last name. He's a good wing defender. They just don't have the depth. They just don't have depth. And when you look at it, you got basically the Nuggets' former depth is their bench.
I also think the other thing,
Austin Rivers and Forbes. I think they'll get better, but I think I'll temper expectation on them.
Now the other thing with Minnesota that's the issue is that Cat's gonna have to give up the game. He's gonna have to let Edwards be the guy. Mm-hmm. I think, and that's not no shade to Cat because Cat can play great basketball, but I think if they're going to go to that next level, they have to actually build up Anthony Edwards. I remember Kat said something about him like, you're not eating McDonald's and stuff. You don't say that about your teammate if you guys want to really build and grow. I mean, you can of course say that behind the scenes, but calling it out in the media, I think it's territorial. I think what he's saying is like, ooh, Edwards is catching up to me. He's catching up to me. And you don't want that energy on a team that's trying to win games.
Sure.
But let's go to the 2 minutes remaining.
2 minutes remaining
section of this.
Yes.
And as we're gonna go back to the Nuggets real quick. We want to look at things, at least on this podcast, through 10 games at a time, right? So the Nuggets have 2 more games to get to those first 10 games. They have two against Spurs. One on Saturday, which is tomorrow, and then one on Monday.
Home and away.
Home and away.
So what's our thoughts? Spurs are playing good basketball. They're not tanking. if that's the question. They're not in a tanking mode.
And obviously they're well coached.
Obviously.
Obviously.
They're going a little. They have one of their primos going through some off the court issues.
To just Janice's point, we want to stay in between that 70% win out of 10 games. So we need to win both these. We need to win both these. Who's the X factor for us in these games?
I think Saturday
getting our full strength back.
Yeah. At home, I think the Nuggets win. I think they do win. I don't know the score. I'm not Vegas moneymaker, so I don't know the line, but I think that the Nuggets will win pretty soundly. Just typically Nuggets are good home Saturday weekend night. It's gonna be rocking.
Undefeated at home this year.
Knock on wood.
I just want to make sure while we're saying
I believe so
that they're undefeated this year.
The thing is about the Spurs. The thing is about the Spurs game, and I haven't seen them play. I'm sorry this year yet. They usually they can slow their game down, and so if it's a slowdown game, then that means Joker is going to be pivotal in that away game. And so
they don't have anyone. Not many teams.
I know Joker. He's he comes out, he tries to get all his teammates involved. He does his passes, and he just he gets his assists and all that. However, if it looks like it's that kind of it's not a back to back. It's just a back to.
It's a home and away.
A home and away. And this was the way part at the beginning of a 4-game away road trip. We need to win that game.
Yeah, in that road trip, they play at San Antonio on Monday, at Indiana, at Boston, at Chicago. So they have they have a tough little week that's going to really define this early look at the Denver Nuggets. Looking at it, I think they could easily go 3-1. Maybe 2-2.
You already gave me my number.
You want both these games. You want both these games. I'll say this: when we're talking about X factors, we talked about the Nuggets. Keldon Johnson from the Spurs, he's averaging 23.9, so 24 points a game.
Yeah,
we have to watch out for them. And I think our first episode when we were all hype and talking, we gave Utah not a lot of credit.
Yeah, and
they came in and smoked us. So I think the Nuggets do need to slow down Keldon Johnson, who also was if you don't remember, he played on the U.S. basketball team. So he is a good basketball player. You got other players. They have a Devin Vassell. He got almost 20 points a game too, and I could be messing up his name. I apologize for that. But so we just do have to watch out for some guys. We can't just say these are guaranteed games, but we have to win these. We have to win these type of games.
You do. And if you want to be one of the top teams in the NBA, these are the games you win. So you win. Hopefully you beat both of them, the home and away, because you got to take care of home court. That's not me saying that. That's what the whole team and coaching staff is preaching on and harping on this season, is taking care of home court. So you take care of home court Saturday, and then you want to start off your 4-game road trip well. Yeah. So you want to get a win at San Antonio, get a win at Indiana, and then I think the toughest game of the 4-game road trip is at Boston. Mm-hmm. Historically, the Nuggets have never really played well at Boston, but hey, anything can happen. That's next Friday night, a week from tonight, or excuse me, when we're recording this. And then at Chicago, who obviously we saw against Brooklyn, when was that, a couple nights ago, that they can play well. They got DeRozan, they got Levine. They're well coached. Shout out to Billy Donovan. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll be good, and then they'll land back here on the 16th to play against the Knicks. So we'll talk about that when that gets there, but we'll see how this rolls.
Yeah, but let's not remember that. That San Antonio has the same record we do, so they're going to be just as hungry to get this done too. I think their goal. I'm just guessing. Pop wants to win both of them. We could say that, but then it'd be good in their minds against Nuggets because. And I don't know how they feel about us, but I can imagine they know we're a good team. They would want to split with us. So I think that we should go in and get both of them and lay it to rest and let them go down in the standings and we go up.
I'm going to say this, and it's going to be a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
I've noticed that the Nuggets, each of the 8 games so far, Jokic has led the team in assists. How about someone else go out there and beat him?
Well, it would have been Jamal. I mean, it would be Jamal.
I know he holds the ball so much in the offense. I think the only
person that would get him is Bones, maybe, if he comes back and plays.
But I would love. The reason I say that is because shows to me that they were moving the ball very well that night. And it never got stagnant. You see a lot of the times over the last 3 games specifically that, especially that Lakers game, they can get real stagnant.
Yeah,
and
they don't move the ball.
And that's been a staple of the Denver Nuggets for the last 4 years for sure. Is that they can get stagnant, going like long spells of not scoring. But in the past, it was because you didn't have the second unit that is as talented as this second unit.
Yeah,
so this second unit is very talented, and it should happen at a lesser degree. But it's still happening, and I think that's why I was harping on it in the first segment, is making sure that they find some sense of consistency there.
Right.
On the bench.
Perfect.
And take the third quarter seriously. I mean, come out, go in, get what do you in the locker room, and come out and get with it. Just like you come out the first quarter.
I love that you talk about the third quarter, and we were talking about Golden State. If we can just half copy what they do,
God.
They've been. I haven't looked at all throughout NBA history, but they have to be one of the greatest third court basketball teams
they start calling them
to ever play.
Yes, they
and
do.
if we
and
can
even
get
last
half
night,
of
they're
that,
up 16 in the third.
Yeah. No, I remember. I don't know what year ago, because we haven't been together like this before. But when everybody was there before the injuries, our fourth quarter was we were lights out. And if we were within 5 points or something coming into the last 5 minutes, we're going to win the game.
Because we got the Blue Mamba.
So here's what we got to do: we got to play well the whole game, but especially our weaknesses that third quarter.
Yeah.
Because the fourth quarter we find our way. We don't want to lose a game. Our juices start flowing. That's fine. Let's just get our defense together in that third quarter.
What is looking okay? I know we keep saying third quarter. What does that look like to you? How do we come out the gate? I know it's a play, but like what needs to happen on the court in the third quarter?
2 things.
Is it an urgency? Is it is it Malone coaching them up before they come out? What is it?
No, I think they know. He's said it enough. They need to play defense, and they need to execute the plays and make their shots. I mean, remember we had a period of time we couldn't make a shot. So in some of the past seasons.
And I'll add another one to that. Allow your defense to become offense.
Yeah.
Okay. Get out in transition.
Yeah.
Start running a little bit more.
Oh,
and then
we
hit
forgot
open
to talk
looks.
about that we messed up. We missed, and it's blaring. Turnovers. How many turnovers have we been getting? It's just terrible.
It's been rough.
It's
been rough. They need to clean up. Even Joker had a quadruple double last night.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So you got exactly.
You pass Will Chamberlain, but also get a quadruple double.
Precisely, and that shows his greatness. But it also shows something that's very glaring, needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, we just
and I know we're wrapping up here for episode 2, and thank you, listeners, for getting to this point and supporting the way you guys have. It's been marvelous thus far, and we'll continue. I can't end this podcast without talking about that dunk last night.
Oh my
God, that Jamal Murray hat 360 over.
That was insane. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to start the podcast with that dunk. When he came through, and he's like, I don't know what he was.
His back was twisted.
It was insane. And then if we're gonna just go talk about highlight plays, AG just like catches the ball one hand and slams it.
But that ball dunk was
disgusting.
It was like one of my favorite plays of all time. One of my favorite Nuggets plays of all time. My favorite Jamal play of all time was the bubble, the spin on Gobert, the layup. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like remind me of that, the spin. And then when he got there, I thought he was gonna lay it off the glass because he could have done that. And then he just cocked it back and
I think the 2 guys next to him thought he was gonna lay it up too.
For real, they weren't expecting it, and no one was expecting it. I think that was what made it so crazy. And I love the fact that it was in the flow of the game. That was beautiful. Yeah.
And if Jamal, if you listen, I want you to know. I think you're starting to trust yourself. You're starting to trust your knee. You've done what you're supposed to do, because last night, if you didn't, that's what you did. You proved it last night.
Part of me thinks even Jamal didn't know he was about to dunk it. Like, I think because he got tipped a little bit, and he still was able to put it in. I thought he was like, "Whoa, I'm really high."
Talent shines.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable,
yeah.
And I think that's a great way to end the
go.
podcast.
What else can you say?
More dunks, more nuggets, and this is the Just Nuggets podcast. Everybody take care. Have a good weekend.